Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Sabur, Ya Qudus, Ya Latif. O Allah, most gracious and beneficent, most compassionate and merciful, forgive us for all that we have done wrong. Forgive us for all of our transgressions. Free us from the bondage of our past acts. Allow us to enter into this now moment free of all of our past indiscretions. Allow us to become pure. Purify us. Bring purity into our being. Detach us from all of that which is illusory. Detach us from every single one of the delusions in this world. Detach us from everything that is not connected to you, Allah. We know that in the elemental world there are hypnotisms and magnetisms, and we know bind us to them. And in that binding, we become distracted from you. End these distractions for us. Allow us to be free of the elemental influences in our life and allow us to be closer to you and under the influence of your gracious qualities. Allah, bring us close to you. Bring your light into us. Open our hearts so that we may see and understand your reality. Bring your light into us. Let us understand this light and let us understand the reality of this light. Allah, make our souls flourish and our souls become more apparent to us, and that connection between ourselves and you become more apparent to us. Allah, do this for us. Do this for us in the name of your prophets and in the name of all of the ones who believe in you. Ameen, Ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Islam is said to be the middle path, not too severe and not too easy, not anything that is fanatical, yet it is a straight path that can lead you to Allah. We need light to be able to see, yet a light that's too bright will blind us. We need sound to be able to hear, but a sound that is too loud will make us deaf. We need smell in order for our noses to be able to smell, but smells that are too pungent and too strong turn off our sense of smell. We need spice in our foods, but when we have too much spice in our foods, it overwhelms our taste and we taste nothing. Our mouth becomes numb to taste. We, as individuals, have to understand that Allah created the sun, and the sun warms this planet, and it keeps everything within a certain temperature. The sun is 93 million miles away, yet somehow Allah has controlled the heat that comes from the sun so that it is within the range that we as humans can survive. So he created us and he created the things that we would need to survive. He created all of that together. He created all of that as a package. And in the same way that the sun stays within a certain range of temperatures, we have to stay within a certain range of emotions. We can't become too happy, and we can't become too sad. We can't laugh outrageously, and we can't cry outrageously. When someone passes, we bury them the next day, and we mourn for a short period of time. There is no excessive mourning. Life goes on in this world, and all of us will reach the same conclusion. All of us will reach the same end. We need to keep ourselves in focus. We need to keep ourselves in a moderate state. We should not be too involved in praise. We should not be too involved in blame. We should not be too involved in any of the emotions of this world. We should learn to separate ourselves from all of these things and be moderate in our way and in our being. The difficulties in this world right now are when certain societies become very powerful and very insistent on the truth of their message. And it's not enough for them that they believe in their message, but they need everybody else to believe in their message also. They need to bring the whole world into their message. And there are many of these messages that are now running around the world and have been running around the world for years. And if we know our history, we are cognizant of a lot of these messages. Communism has been running around the world for years. Fascism has been running around the world for years. Fanatical religion has been running around the world for years. And fanatical religions come in many types. Now in Asia, you have fanatical Hindus and you have fanatical Muslims. The Christians went through their fanaticism a while ago, and now they have become less radical in their preaching. However, we as adherents to Sufism understand that we can go our way and we don't need to push other people in our way. The Quran says, when they argue with them, advise and leave. Do not become overwhelming in the way you approach them. We need to understand how to be moderate. We need to understand how to be moderate in food. We need to understand how to be moderate in exercise. We need to understand how to be moderate in our work habits. And we also need to be able, at the same time, to devote part of our life to that which is non-elemental. A glass bottle is made out of glass, but its purpose is mostly the emptiness inside of it to hold something. A safe has walls and it locks, but its main purpose is the emptiness inside of it to hold something. A house has walls, but its main purpose is the space inside those walls where we can walk around and live. So we have the elemental and emptiness, and we are surrounded by elemental, but we need the empty space in order to be able to live. So we need to understand that we are an elemental body, but at the same time, we have a non-elemental portion inside of us. Just as a bottle is empty to hold water, this body is created to hold a soul. And this soul exists within us. Just as the empty part of the bottle is as important or more important than the bottle because the bottle's use is its emptiness, this body's use is the fact that it carries a soul. And we need to be able to concentrate on that fact and become very much aware of that fact. We have to recognize that we are a body carrying a soul. We're two entities. We're not just one entity. Now, one of these entities has a limited span of existence. It's not immortal. It's subject to everything that the elements are subject to, which is decay. So this body is subject to decay, but the soul within us is not subject to decay. The soul within us is capable of being immortal. And Bawa was asked, what happens to the soul when the body sins? When we, as bodies, commit acts which are contrary to what has been prescribed by God for us to do. We step outside of the bounds of appropriate behavior. And he described it like this. He said, if you see a battery and it has two poles and you run the battery, you'll note that over time, the poles on the battery become corroded. And it's the same way with the soul. If the body commits inappropriate acts, we corrode the soul. We create a crust on the soul. We make the soul other than pure. So what's the next step? The next step is that the corrosion that's on the soul has to be removed. And to remove the corrosion is that period that's described in different religions in different ways. Some call it hell, some call it the fire, some call it purgatory, but there is an action on the soul to bring it back to its natural purity. So we need to be careful not to corrode the most important part of us. All of us go to doctors. all of us get checkups as to our physical health. All of us exercise in order to keep our body going. All of us try to eat in a way that will keep us healthy. And we have learned that to stay healthy, you have to eat moderately. You have to exercise moderately. You can't allow too much stress into your being. So your relationships in this world can't be too intense. They have to be moderate. You have to keep your emotions at a moderate level so that the stress inside of you doesn't overwhelm you and bring upon disease to your body, such as heart disease or high blood pressure. Well, in the same way, we have to take care of our souls. And in the same way that we go to doctors for our bodies, we have to go to doctors for our souls. And all of the great teachers are doctors for our souls. And they give us the advice that is necessary to be able to keep our souls pure, to keep our souls from corroding. In the same way that we get plaque inside our arteries from eating too much fat or eating inappropriate foods, and they block up our system and cause us disease. In the same way, if we commit acts that are inappropriate for this world, we corrode our soul. And these acts corrode our soul. So we go to a doctor of the soul, a doctor of the other world, someone who can cleanse us from that which we have done inappropriately in this world and can show us how to rearrange our life so that it becomes appropriate in this world. And what is it that they tell us to do? What is the advice that they give us? In the same way that we are told to eat moderately, there are laws for eating food in the law of the soul. And I'll call religion the law of the soul. There are certain foods that we can't eat. Certain foods corrode the soul. There are certain acts that corrode the soul. There are certain attitudes that corrode the soul. And then we're also taught that there are certain attitudes that purify the soul, that keep the soul healthy and vibrant. The acts that corrode the soul are arrogance and jealousy and hastiness and all of the qualities that belong to Satan. Lust, desire for wealth, desire for fame, desire for things that the body thinks makes the body greater. Things that the egocentric self thinks enhance the egocentric self. So if we were to look at a chart and we look at enhancing the egocentric self and purifying the soul, we will, or corroding the soul, we will see that as we enhance the egocentric self, we corrode the soul. As we humble the egocentric self, we purify the soul. So we are taught that what is necessary for the soul to flourish is that we are not attached to the elemental. And we are taught that what will corrode the soul is our attachment to the various pulls and magnetisms and hypnotisms in the world. And the more that we are drawn into the world, the more that we are attached to the world, the more that we corrode the soul. And how do we purify the soul after years and years of corrosion? Well, we need to do retreats. Now, you don't have to go anywhere to do this retreat. You can stay home and do this retreat, but we have to change who we are. And this is the transformation that the true Gnostic paths, the paths of wisdom, take you on. The transformation from constant attention to the egocentric self to attention to the soul portion of ourself. There is a transcendence that needs to occur within us. We need to transcend the elemental and become less attached to it. And as we transcend the elemental, our soul becomes cleansed. As we lose our attachment to the things of the world, our soul becomes cleansed. As we lose our attachment to the world, certain things happen to us. We become less involved with needing. We become less involved with desire. We become less involved with having things. That part of us that is grasping learns to let go. The grasping part of us learns to let go. And then we develop the capacity that, as opposed to grasping, we develop the capacity for giving. And all of a sudden, the empathy within us changes. When we are in the grasping phase, our empathy is with ourselves. It doesn't extend to other people. It doesn't extend beyond ourselves. It doesn't feel the pain and the joy of others. If it isn't my pain, it doesn't exist. If it isn't my joy, it doesn't exist. We are surrounded by ourselves. As we begin to give up that grasping part, we begin to feel the pain and joy of others because we don't care as much about the pain and joy of ourselves. Our needs have diminished. And as our needs have diminished, we can enter into a state of mercy, into a state of compassion, into a state of love. And it's in that state that we can cure all of the years of sloth that we have practiced prior to becoming conscious. We can cure all the years of mind games that we've played with ourselves and others before we understand that the mind is not who we are, that we can cure all of the paths that we've gone on, which were only for the purpose of making ourselves bigger and more important and more powerful and more famous. And we begin to walk on what is called the straight path, the path towards Allah. We either walk towards destruction or we walk towards salvation. We either walk towards our doom or we walk towards our resurrection. We have to make this choice, and we have to make it over and over again every day. We can't go to sleep on this choice. When it is said that we are given free will, our free will basically comes down to, do we choose God or do we choose the world? Do we choose the elemental or do we choose that which has no form, which exists and is eternal? Can we have faith in what we cannot see? Can we have faith in what we cannot touch? Can we have faith into what we can't put our arms around? Can we understand that the emptiness inside a bottle is more important than the form? That the emptiness inside the walls of a house are more important than the walls? Without the emptiness, the house couldn't exist. Without our soul, we couldn't exist. Without our soul, we would not be human. We would at best be animal. So if we are to accept the birthright of who we were born to be, we have to do that which is necessary to make our soul pure and to transcend this elemental world. Now, the world right now is in great difficulty. Political systems in different parts of the world are in conflict. The coronavirus has spread around the world and is causing great economic difficulty throughout the world. So, can we alter masses of people at one time? Can we bring people into levels of consciousness that make them aware of their responsibility to other man at one time? Well, a great sheikh like my teacher, at the most, had 300 people sitting in front of him at one time. When you consider how many people there are in the world, 300 people is not a lot of people. But he told us, and he reiterated to us, that it was our responsibility to become insan kamil, true man, man who has transcended the elemental nature of the world and has entered into the divine qualities of Allah and has become a manifestation in form of the divine non-elemental qualities of Allah in this world. And if enough people can do this, the world will change. It doesn't take the entire world to do this. The Quran says that if you have saved one man, you have saved all of mankind. Well, each of us needs to go about saving ourselves. And as we are saved, our resonance on our vibration and our integration with other people will give to them an impetus and a resonance to bring about change in them. It has been said by holy men that being in their presence is enough to change people, that being in their vibratory field is enough to change people. Being near that which is reality is enough to bring people into reality. Being near the truth is enough to bring people into the truth. So you don't have to think about this. You have to become it. And you become it by letting go of your ideas, your opinions, and all of the things that separate you from other people. Once we separate ourselves from that which separates us, our empathy grows. And as our empathy grows, we're connected to more and more people. And as we're connected to more and more people, that vibration of the truth spreads to more and more people. But as we are separated because of our attachments to the world and our attachments to ourselves, that empathy disappears and that spreading of the resonance disappears. So if that resonance is going to spread, we have to be free of everything that stops it from spreading around the world. We have to be free of all of the satanic qualities that keep us attached to this world and don't allow us to escape into the formless. So if we can escape into the formless, if we can escape into the gracious qualities of Allah, then as we walk down the street, in the same way that the coronavirus infects people, we will infect people with truth. Not necessarily with words, but through resonance. In the same way, people will catch the truth. It will spread among humanity. And as you can see with the coronavirus, it didn't take a lot of people to spread this thing around the world. It took a small group who had it, and they ended up being in a lot of different places, and it ended up spreading around the world. If we can get small groups all over the world to have the truth in them, if they can become insan kamils, if they can get to the place of purity, if they can get to the resonance of the gracious qualities of Allah, then that will spread around the world, and that will infect, literally, all of the people who don't get it, not through words so much as through being. And we need to become those beings. Ya Allah, allow us to lose our attachment to the world. Allow us to lose our attachment to the elemental. Allow us to enter into your gracious qualities so that we are integrated with you. Allow us to become hakikat, that place of the merging of man and God. Allow us to become the ones who spread your resonance throughout the world, who bring your qualities throughout the world, who manifest your will throughout the world. Let us surrender all of our being to you so that we are resurrected as your gracious qualities. Allow this to happen for each of us so that this world can find a cure from all of the illnesses that exist in this world. This world can find a cure from all of the separations that exists, so that hearts open and people see that there is one creator, there is one mother and father, there is one unity among all mankind, and love and peace blossom throughout this world. Ameen. Ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.